Hallstatt, a small village in Austria with a population of only about 778 people. Known for its ancient history and breathtaking Alpine scenery. People have lived in this village since ancient times, and today it is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. UNESCO says this area has managed to preserve a true sense of authenticity in both its nature and community, which is really rare in the region. However, since 2012, Hallstatt in Austria is no longer quite so unique. In fact, the unbelievable thing about this village is that the Chinese in Guangdong province spent about $940 million to build an exact replica of this historic village, using the same name. Strange, right? But it's true. In this video, we're going to talk about Hallstatt in China and discuss the story behind this massive copy. So stay with me until the end of this video, because you'll be amazed by what I'm about to tell you. Imagine the streets of China, crowded, full of skyscrapers and neon lights. Amidst all these modern buildings, just less than a 15-minute drive from the city of Huizhou in Guangdong province, China. Suddenly, there's an Alpine village with colorful wooden houses, a historic church, a fountain, a lake, and even windows adorned with hanging flowers, complete with Austrian-style curtains in matching patterns and colors, exactly like Hallstatt in Austria. Everything here is copied, from the architectural style to the railings, flower signs, wooden bridges, the colors of the houses, and even the municipal signs. The Austrians still can't believe that someone has recreated their village with such precision. They even play Austrian waltz music from small speakers hidden behind flower pots, making you feel like you're really walking through the streets of Austria. The Hallstatt project in China was carried out by the Chinese state-owned mining company Minmetals Land, which is a subsidiary of the large China Minmetals Corporation. The main goal of this project was to build a luxury residential complex inspired by Hallstatt's architecture. But in the end, a complete Chinese version of Hallstatt was built, which is almost identical to the original in Austria. Of course, while everything may look copied on the surface, the uses might be different. For example, the church has been completely copied, but instead of being a place of worship, it's now a showroom for real estate agents. So, people who visit the Hallstatt church in China go there to buy a house, not to hold religious ceremonies. Or, for example, the appearance of the restaurants and shops in Hallstatt, China is identical to the real Hallstatt in Austria. But here, the souvenirs are made in China and they sell Chinese food. Even if the menu is the same as Hallstatt in Austria, the taste and flavor are definitely different. On the other hand, the writing on the signs is in Chinese, and when Chinese women wear traditional Austrian dresses, you can really see the contradiction. It shows that this is just a copy. Still, this project has a lot of work left and is still being completed. This place is supposed to be completed in several phases. The main market and the main square of the city have been built, but many of the units are just for show. The stalls and shops are dusty and dirty, and they use plastic fruits and products. The workers are also out on the lake every day in small pedal boats, but not for the tourists' enjoyment. Instead, they're collecting dead fish and floating trash. On the other hand, there's no official evidence showing that the hotels and luxury complexes in China's Hallstatt have actually opened or become operational. It's not even clear whether their purpose was purely for publicity or not. Of course, you should know that around China's Hallstatt, large residential areas worth about $1 billion have been built, but they don't look like the 100-year-old houses of the real Hallstatt in Austria. In fact, maybe the whole project of copying the historic Hallstatt village was just a big publicity stunt to market the surrounding homes. In any case, the Hallstatt project in China is kind of progressing slowly, and it still has a long way to go before it becomes a flawless copy of the real Hallstatt in Austria. Though maybe it never will. Still, there's no law in China that prevents copying a real city. So even though the project is slow, it continues. So far, this project has faced comments, criticism, and concerns from officials and residents of Hallstatt, Austria. Some people believe this is cultural theft, since it was done without the knowledge or permission of the Austrians, and they only found out about it when construction was already well underway. Another group believes that this project is an incredible marketing ploy to sell houses and attract tourists. However, some officials in Hallstatt, Austria have shown somewhat positive reactions to Hallstatt, China, because in a way, the Chinese have introduced Hallstatt to the world even more, and as a result, the number of tourists visiting the real Hallstatt has increased. In addition, many prominent officials in Hallstatt, Austria, such as the esteemed mayor of Hallstatt, received a significant quantity of valuable gifts from the Chinese construction company that diligently started the controversial Hallstatt China project. Some hotel owners in the real Hallstatt in Austria have also found their own ways to deal with this Chinese copy. They are redecorating their hotels with luxurious Chinese-made replica furniture. In fact, now Hallstatt in China and Hallstatt in Austria have a sort of diplomatic relationship and are in contact with each other. I think this project is both fascinating and a little bit sad. It's fascinating because of the beauty and attention to detail dedicated to this project, and sad because no matter how precise these details are, you can still tell the difference between a copy and the original. In Hallstatt, China, you can even see posters of the real mayor of Hallstatt, which were used to promote the project. But the whole city feels more like a living model that's still full of contradictions. So instead of showing the real life of the local people in Hallstatt, Austria, this project is more like a simulation of the city itself, not the entire culture. But what do you think? Do you think something like this is cultural theft or just a marketing ploy? Leave a comment so we can have a lively discussion together. The story of China's Hallstatt reminds us how much human imagination, combined with marketing goals, can play a role in simulating reality. But let's remember that no copy can ever replace the authenticity and real history of a place. Also, in recent years, several projects have been built in China that resemble Western cities. For example, Tianduching, built in 2007, was modeled after the city of Paris, France, with Parisian-style buildings, cobblestone streets and French architecture, fountains, scenery, and even an Eiffel Tower. Of course, in this video I don't want to go into the details, but if you'd like to know more about it, be sure to let me know in the comments. But overall, the main goal of such projects is mostly to attract the middle and wealthy classes who are looking for a luxurious European lifestyle, or even to sell homes at higher prices. These kinds of projects are carried out for those reasons. Because when a view or exterior has a unique look, they can raise the prices more easily. On the other hand, even if at first no one is thinking about living in or buying property in these areas, this unique appearance itself acts as advertising and attracts tourists and visitors, which helps the country's economy. In this way, projects like China's Hallstatt might truly be considered a thoughtful combination of smart marketing and a cultural display of cultural identity.